Article 314.27 of the National Electrical Code addresses fixtures used as outlet boxes. Fixtures suitable for mounting directly to surfaces like plaster, wood, metal, or other solid materials can serve as junction boxes. Article 410.16c mandates that conductors within fixtures must be shielded from physical harm. For proper installation, surface mount fluorescent fixtures must be specifically listed for use as junction boxes. The opening made in the fixture should be 1 inch or less and cleanly created using a knockout punch. The National Electrical Code permits using a fixture as a junction box if it is identified for that purpose. If it is identified for use as a junction box, then it is suitable to have circuit conductors originate from the fixture to supply other equipment. Terminate NM or non-metallic wire correctly with a twist-on wire connector or other approved method. Incorporate a strain relief to secure the NM wire and prevent it from being pulled out of the fixture. Incorrect installation methods include puncturing the fixture with an oversized hole, meaning a hole larger than 1 inch, which is prohibited. Cutting the hole with tin snips creates a jagged edge that can compromise the NM wire's insulation. Failure to protect the NM wire from physical damage, either through improper routing or neglecting strain relief, constitutes a violation of the National Electrical Code. The consequences of incorrect installation can be significant. Damaged NM wire can lead to short circuits and electrical fires. Exposed NM wire introduces a potential shock hazard. Improperly installed fixtures may suffer premature failure, leading to increased repair and maintenance expenses. To elaborate on approved methods and materials, consider the following details. Firstly, listed fixtures are those that have been evaluated by a recognized testing laboratory and found to comply with relevant safety standards. Secondly, knockout punches create clean, round holes without damaging the surrounding metal, ensuring a secure and code-compliant installation. Thirdly, twist-on wire connectors, commonly known as wire nuts, provide insulated connections between conductors, preventing accidental shorts or ground faults. Fourthly, strain reliefs, such as cable clamps or bushings, protect the NM cable from stress and prevent it from being pulled out of the fixture, maintaining the integrity of the electrical connection. Fifthly, proper grounding is essential for electrical safety, and all metal parts of the fixture should be properly grounded in accordance with the National Electrical Code requirements. Sixthly, inspect all wiring connections to ensure they are tight and secure, preventing loose connections that can cause arcing and overheating. Seventhly, when selecting NN cable, ensure it is of the correct size and type for the intended application, considering the ampacity requirements of the circuit and the environmental conditions. Eighthly, follow all manufacturer's instructions when installing the fixture and wiring components, ensuring compliance with safety standards and proper operation. Ninthly, if you are unsure about any aspect of the installation, consult with a qualified electrician who can provide guidance and ensure the work is performed safely and in accordance with the National Electrical Code. Tenthly, regular inspections and maintenance of electrical fixtures and wiring can help identify and address potential problems before they become serious hazards. When considering fixture installations in the National Electrical Code, several factors are important. Firstly, the National Electrical Code, or NEC, is a comprehensive set of standards and guidelines for electrical installations, providing minimum requirements for safety and performance. Secondly, the purpose of the National Electrical Code is to protect people and property from electrical hazards such as fire, shock, and electrocution. Thirdly, the National Electrical Code is updated every 3 years to reflect changes in technology, industry practices, and safety standards. Fourthly, compliance with the National Electrical Code is essential for ensuring electrical safety and avoiding potential liability issues. Fifthly, local jurisdictions may adopt and enforce the National Electrical Code, with or without amendments, so it is important to check with local authorities to determine the applicable requirements. Sixthly, the National Electrical Code covers a wide range of electrical topics, including wiring methods, equipment installation, grounding, overcurrent protection, and special occupancies. Seventhly, the National Electrical Code provides specific requirements for different types of electrical equipment and installations depending on their intended use and location. Eighthly, the National Electrical Code includes tables, charts, and examples to help electricians and inspectors understand and apply the code requirements. Ninthly, the National Electrical Code is a complex and technical document, and it is important to have a thorough understanding of its provisions before attempting any electrical work. Tenthly, professional training and certification are available for electricians and inspectors who want to enhance their knowledge and skills in applying the National Electrical Code. The National Electrical Code provides guidelines for the ampacity or current carrying capacity of conductors. The ampacity of a conductor depends on several factors, including firstly, the size of the conductor, measured in American wire gauge or AUG. Secondly, the type of insulation used on the conductor, such as thermoplastic high heat resistant nylon or THHN or cross-linked polyethylene or XLP. Thirdly, the ambient temperature in which the conductor is installed. Fourthly, the number of conductors bundled together in a raceway or cable. The National Electrical Code provides tables that list the allowable ampacities of conductors based on these factors. For example, Table 310.15b16 lists the allowable ampacities of insulated conductors rated up to 2000 volts, 60 degrees Celsius through 90 degrees Celsius in free air. The ampacity of a conductor decreases as the ambient temperature increases because high temperatures reduce the conductor's ability to dissipate heat. The National Electrical Code provides correction factors to adjust the ampacity of conductors based on ambient temperature. The ampacity of a conductor also decreases as the number of conductors bundled together increases because the heat generated by the conductors is concentrated in a smaller space. The National Electrical Code provides adjustment factors to reduce the ampacity of conductors based on the number of conductors bundled together. It is important to select conductors with sufficient ampacity for the intended load to prevent overheating and potential fire hazards. Overcurrent protection devices such as circuit breakers and fuses are designed to protect conductors from overload and short-circuit conditions. The National Electrical Code requires that overcurrent protection devices be sized to protect the conductors they supply, based on the conductor's ampacity. For example, a 14 American wire gauge copper conductor with THHN insulation, rated for 90 degrees Celsius, has an ampacity of 20 amps according to Table 310.15b16. Therefore, this conductor should be protected by a 20 amp circuit breaker or fuse. It is important to follow the National Electrical Code requirements for conductor ampacity and overcurrent protection to ensure electrical safety and prevent potential hazards. The National Electrical Code addresses grounding and bonding requirements. Grounding is the process of connecting electrical equipment and systems to the earth, providing a low impedance path for fault current to flow back to the source. Bonding is the process of connecting metal parts of electrical equipment and systems together, creating an electrically conductive path. The purpose of grounding and bonding is to protect people and property from electrical shock and fire hazards. Grounding and bonding provide a path for fault current to flow back to the source, causing the overcurrent protection device, such as a circuit breaker or fuse, to trip and de-energize the circuit. The National Electrical Code requires that all metal enclosures of electrical equipment be grounded, including panel boards, switchgear, motor control centers, and junction boxes. The National Electrical Code also requires that all non-current carrying metal parts of electrical equipment be bonded together, including conduit, raceways, cable trays, and metal siding. The grounding and bonding system must be properly designed and installed to ensure its effectiveness. The grounding electrode system, which connects the electrical system to the earth, must be properly sized and installed in accordance with the National Electrical Code requirements. The bonding jumpers, which connect the metal parts of electrical equipment together, must be properly sized and installed to ensure a low impedance path for fault current. It is important to follow the National Electrical Code requirements for grounding and bonding to ensure electrical safety and prevent potential hazards. The National Electrical Code Article 250 covers grounding and bonding. Grounding ensures a safe path for fault currents, protecting against electrical shock. Bonding connects metallic parts to create electrical continuity. Effective grounding and bonding minimize voltage differences, reducing shock hazards. Grounding electrodes, like rods or plates, connect the system to the earth. Bonding jumpers connect metallic components, ensuring continuity. Proper installation is crucial for effective protection. Improper grounding can lead to dangerous voltage on metal parts. Fault currents must have a clear path back to the source. Regular inspections verify the integrity of grounding and bonding systems. Article 250 provides detailed requirements for various scenarios. Understanding Article 250 is vital for electrical safety. In addition to grounding and bonding, the National Electrical Code addresses overcurrent protection. Overcurrent protection devices, such as circuit breakers and fuses, are designed to protect conductors and equipment from overload in short-circuit conditions. Overload is a condition where the current in a circuit exceeds the rated ampacity of the conductors or equipment. Short circuit is a condition where there is an unintended low resistance path for current to flow, resulting in a high current flow. The National Electrical Code requires that overcurrent protection devices be sized to protect the conductors and equipment they supply, based on their ampacity and ratings. The overcurrent protection device must be able to interrupt the fault current before it causes damage to the conductors or equipment. The National Electrical Code provides tables and guidelines for selecting the appropriate overcurrent protection device for different types of circuits and equipment. The overcurrent protection device must be properly installed and maintained to ensure its effectiveness. Circuit breakers must be properly calibrated and tested to ensure they will trip at the correct current level. Fuses must be properly sized and installed in the correct fuse holders. It is important to follow the National Electrical Code requirements for overcurrent protection to ensure electrical safety and prevent potential hazards. Different types of conductors exist, each with specific properties and applications. Copper conductors are widely used due to their high conductivity and corrosion resistance. Aluminum conductors are lighter and less expensive than copper, but have lower conductivity. The National Electrical Code specifies the allowable ampacities for different conductor types and sizes. Conductor insulation protects against electrical shock and prevents short circuits. Common insulation types include thermoplastic, high heat-resistant nylon, cross-linked polyethylene, and rubber. The National Electrical Code requires that conductors be properly sized and insulated for the intended application. Conductor sizing depends on the ampacity requirements of the circuit and the ambient temperature. Insulation type depends on the voltage rating and environmental conditions. Proper conductor selection is crucial for electrical safety and reliability. Using undersized conductors can lead to overheating and fire hazards. Using the wrong type of insulation can lead to premature failure and electrical shock. It is important to consult the National Electrical Code and follow manufacturer's instructions when selecting conductors. The National Electrical Code, Article 310, covers conductors for general wiring. It details allowable ampacities based on insulation type and temperature rating. Proper conductor sizing is essential for safety and efficiency. Undersized conductors can overheat, causing insulation damage or fire. Oversized conductors increase installation costs without significant benefit. Article 310 provides tables for ampacity in various conditions. Ambient temperature affects conductor ampacity. Adjustments must be made for higher temperatures. Number of conductors in a raceway also impacts ampacity. Dirting factors account for heat buildup in bundled conductors. Voltage drop is another factor in conductor selection. Excessive voltage drop can impair equipment performance. Article 310 includes examples for calculating voltage drop. Proper conductor installation ensures long-term reliability. Avoid damaging insulation during pulling and termination. Use appropriate connectors and tools for the conductor type and size. Article 310 is a critical resource for electrical installations. Understanding its requirements is essential for safe and compliant wiring. For proper electrical installations, wiring methods play a crucial role. Conduit, such as rigid metal conduit, electrical metallic tubing, or PVC conduit, provides physical protection for conductors. Cable trays support and route cables in industrial and commercial settings. Surface raceways offer a convenient way to run wiring on finished surfaces. The National Electrical Code specifies the allowable wiring methods for different applications. Wiring methods must be selected based on the environmental conditions and the type of occupancy. Proper installation of wiring methods is essential for electrical safety and reliability. Conduit must be properly supported and secured to prevent damage. Cables must be properly supported and protected from physical damage. Surface raceways must be installed according to manufacturer's instructions. It is important to consult the National Electrical Code and follow manufacturer's instructions when selecting and installing wiring methods. The National Electrical Code, Chapter 3, covers wiring methods and materials. It specifies requirements for various wiring systems. Conduit systems provide excellent mechanical protection for conductors. Electrical metallic tubing is lightweight and easy to install. Rigid metal conduit offers superior strength and durability. Non-metallic conduit is corrosion resistant and suitable for underground use. Cable systems are commonly used in residential and commercial buildings. Non-metallic sheathed cable is cost-effective for general wiring. Armored cable provides additional protection against physical damage. Cable trays support and route cables in industrial environments. They allow for easy access and maintenance of wiring. Chapter 3 details installation requirements for each wiring method. Proper support and securement are essential for safety. Bending radii must be followed to prevent conductor damage. Connectors and fittings must be compatible with the wiring method. Chapter 3 is a comprehensive guide for electrical wiring. Understanding its requirements is vital for safe installations. When addressing electrical safety, personal protective equipment is essential. Safety glasses protect eyes from flying debris and accidental splashes. Gloves protect hands from electrical shock and burns. Hard hats protect heads from impact hazards. Arc-rated clothing protects against the intense heat of arc flashes. The National Electrical Code requires that employees be trained in the proper use of personal protective equipment. Personal protective equipment must be properly maintained and inspected regularly. Damaged or defective equipment must be replaced immediately. It is important to wear appropriate personal protective equipment when working on or near electrical equipment. Electrical safety training is essential for all employees who work on or near electrical equipment. Training should cover the hazards of electricity, safe work practices, and the proper use of personal protective equipment. Employees should be trained to recognize and avoid electrical hazards. Training should be conducted regularly and updated as needed. It is important to follow safe work practices when working on or near electrical equipment. Always to energize equipment before working on it. Use lockout/tagout procedures to prevent accidental energization. Use insulated tools and equipment. Maintain a safe working distance from energized parts. Never work alone on electrical equipment. Electrical safety is a shared responsibility. Employees, employers, and safety professionals must work together to create a safe working environment. The National Electrical Code provides guidelines for electrical safety. Compliance with the National Electrical Code is essential for preventing electrical accidents and injuries. Regular inspections and maintenance of electrical equipment can help identify and address potential hazards before they cause an accident. Ongoing training and education are essential for keeping employees up to date on electrical safety practices. By following these guidelines, we can create a safer working environment for everyone.